Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I was working. What's up, everyone? This is 38 at 38, and I am Aaron, and you have reached our 1 year anniversary extravaganza episode special. It's going to be amazing. That's right. We've been on for 1 year. Very excited about this. And so we're going to do things a little differently. This episode, what I've done is, of all my wonderful guests, I've gotten three. I brought back three of my favorite guests to talk about one more ridiculous job story that they had. So look, let's just jump right into it. You're here for the stories, not for me. Let's go.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Ultimate IT Growth Conference, coming June 13th and 14th in Orlando, Florida. This is a workshop-oriented conference so you can walk away getting things done. Pick up some of Jennifer Bleem's best hints, tips, and tricks to grow your MSP and mature the way you think about growth. To register or find out more, visit mspsalesrevolution.com/ultimate.
Callen, thank you so much. I want to thank you. I don't know how much of everything that we just talked about is going to be in the final edit, but I loved it. But it's going to pick up right now. And so, Callen, thank you so much for being on my 1 year anniversary extravaganza episode. And there's all around you, there's like fireworks and confetti too. It's crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Can I have a pinata?
How about it? How do you like it? Do you like?
It's got to be.
Turn around.
I was hoping for the Fortnite. It's the Fortnite pinata.
Yeah, for you, just
Thanks,
for you. What if it feels like, dude? I don't have any time to edit any of this crap. I'm like,
just tell people not to close their eyes
and imagine
and dream.
Yeah, dream. That's what we're all about. And now our ASMR portion.
Hold on, let me.
Horrible. Oh, it's like it's a steel drum.
Not a beer. It's not a beer.
It's not a beer. Callen, so you specifically are on this show because you're one of my favorite guests I've had. You're a very, very good friend. You're hilarious. But right after we had our last episode, or shortly after, you called me up or you texted me. You're like, dude, I got another story that I got to share. And look, the last episode, you guys have to watch it, listen to it. It's, if you're watching this video, maybe the link's right there. If not, it's in the description. If you're listening, it's in the description or comment somewhere. Watch it, people. It's great. But you told me you had another one, and we talked briefly yesterday. I made sure that you didn't tell me what this new story was, but just the other stories that we talked about were like, oh man, these are great. And you know what? Before you get into that story, we're going to tease it right here. But wait, didn't you deliver Hulk Hogan like a bed one time?
I sold and delivered. Yeah. I mean, it was. I think I might have mentioned this. We have enough conversations that it's hard sometimes to remember where things were said, but. The hardest thing I ever did as a sales rep was getting him to lay down. Like that was it. Like getting that man to lay down. And he had to take his manic mac off too. Because you can't lay like with a big plastic thing on there and say this bed's comfortable, brother.
Right.
You know,
and
like,
he actually laid down. Why didn't he want to lay down?
I think a lot of men struggle with it. You know, I think there's like something emasculating to have someone standing at the foot. And we actually were trained to like when someone is at the bed, especially if it's like a female, you know, you kind of step off to the side and go. But men, like I think having someone stand over them and the idea of like laying down in bed is a very intimate thing. And some men are very uncomfortable. You'd think it wouldn't be the wrestler that's got other men like in the headlock and hitting them with the crotch and all that.
Yeah,
but
or you think
you got to draw the line.
That's definitely why he's like, I get paid for doing that, brother. I'm not going to do this for free.
50% discount.
Now, you want me to lay down on this bed, brother? That's great.
Geez, yeah.
You know what it's like?
Return it, so it's the right thing.
That's good. So I bet it was like the like how some super alpha dominant dogs, like they won't roll on their back. They won't
Yeah.
show dominance.
Yep.
That's what it was. He'll bend
Yep.
over. He's like, no.
No. You're not pinning me. He was
You
probably
get him-
worried that the Undertaker was going to come from the roof with a chair, put him right
Yeah.
through a table. Like,
Dude, I need to
That was
see
from Marcus
that
McNall.
video. Yes, Marky. Oh, thanks. Good job, Marky. Marky loves that. There's and Aaron Aycock. Aaron Aycock would appreciate that as well.
oh, he would. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to see a funny video. I need to see a funny video of just that, like the manliest man trying to buy a
Mattress.
mattress, and he's like, just try it out. He's just standing on it and hop. He's like, this is good. Like, no, man. That's he does some flying elbows. He does flying elbows
Sliding
on
elbow.
it. He goes and kicks the tires. He just kicks the corners of the bedpost. Okay. All right. So what is this story? I want to get into the story. I want to, and there's no story for me this episode. It's just the three guests that I've chosen. So please do.
All the pressure is back over here. Like
Back
the first
on
one, we
you.
talked about that. Like I laid it up, and then you had to beat it. And this time you're just like, well, if you suck, you suck, and then we just will cut you out. Maybe we'll talk about Hulk Hogan, but I don't know.
No, we'll actually
So,
only keep that segment. We'll only keep that.
The proof is in the pudding. Callen's an idiot. So, I'm probably number 2 behind you in the people we know number of jobs. This was a time in my life where I actually had 4 individual jobs at the same time.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So
that's
the,
impressive. That's impressive.
That's what happens when you start working at a mattress store at 16, and the guy thinks that, and knows that he can kind of pay you whatever he wants to. So at that time, I think I was working about 118 hours a week, and the title of this story, I was thinking about it.
168 hours in a week, so that means you had 50 hours not working.
Yep, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. So fortunately, I sleep like that 4 or 5 hours a night, and that's only a couple hours of not doing things. The rest of the time was fixing the cars to get to all the jobs in the work.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
And this was funny because I took this job on though voluntarily because I met my wife at a little coffee place in Palm Harbor, Florida called Insomnia. Her friend owned it. She was a barista there. My friends worked there. We all kind of helped out and pitched in. When it went under, it was right next to a place called Palermo's. Palermo's had one of the best Elvis impersonators you could ever find, and a Frank Sinatra impersonator. And it was the place where supposedly all the kind of like the organized crime people retired to and hung out with in Palm Harbor.
But why? Wait, why were there these 2 impersonators there?
Because they liked them. Like you had a Frankie Valli impersonator. Yeah, they're like reliving their glory days,
Performing?
Like performing. Yeah, performing.
Oh,
like
I thought it was just some guy looks like it was just like friends that look like I'm eating dinner or something.
that
just
would be
chilling
amazing. No, he hung out there, but not like that. He was getting paid.
Okay.
So kind of setting the stage. There were a lot of Goombas, like guys that had been out and hanging out, New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, just kind of from that area of the world. And when the coffee shop went under, because a coffee place is, really a bad investment,
right.
This place took over, and one of the guys that was hanging out there bought it and put in this high-end Italian restaurant. I don't know why I thought I could be a server. By the way, not a good server, and you'll hear why in a minute.
That's just like alerting. Hey, we're having an Italian restaurant too.
Yeah.
Come
my
check
God,
us out.
dude.
All the tablecloths are white and red on checkered pattern.
Yep. Spot down. It looked like it came out of Little Italy. But it
bottles
was
of Chianti,
super high end.
Bottles of Chianti on the shelf.
All the different whiskeys, everything. And they even hired this like former Michelin star chef to cook there.
Goodness.
So I would like to title the name of this story, unlike the kind of the State Department rouse. You've got I stayed for the lasagna. So
nice.
When I was there, I don't know why I thought I could be a server. I'm ADHD as a mother, and
right.
And I don't know if swearing's allowed in this, but I hope you let that one slide or bleep it if you have time in the post. But
wait, make a sound. Make any sound. Make any sound you want to make. Okay, that is going to be the sound that bleeps over. That sound.
That's kind of where I thought you were going. So,
Yeah.
so they had amazing coffee. Funny enough, this little Italian restaurant, and so we were going and hanging out there, even though it was this high end place, and we were broke because we were just used to hanging out there. And one of the days,
Right.
I'm in there talking to the owner, talking to his wife, and they were talking about hiring some staff. And I'm like, this might be kind of fun. I come here, nice high end restaurant. I learned to see if I can be a server. I know friends that are servers. They do a really good job in tips. Maybe I can drop one of my other jobs. At that
Right.
point, it was door-to-door salesman, which you know about, the mattress store. I worked at a second mattress store, and I was selling cars. And so can I drop one of these and be a server, right? And
Nice.
so I did. I chose one of those jobs to go away. And the thing that got me hired was the fact that I told the wife that I had wingtips. I don't know if you're familiar with wingtip shoes. They're the really nice ones. And so if you need to understand what type of place it was, wingtips got me hired. So that could be a story in itself, right?
Whoa, you got wingtips, do you?
You got wingtips. I trust this kid. Let's hire
honey,
him. No
honey,
experience.
he's got wingtips. He's got wingtips.
Let's hire him. So another fun part about that is I never actually got to wear the wingtips in, even though she really wanted me to. And so I started.
No, not today. It's not special enough today. Not today.
Not today. Today's not the day for the wingtips.
Today's not the day for you, buddy.
So the coolest perk of working there was you got to pick a meal every day. So you have this Michelin star chef. You work for 2 hours and you get to eat, and you come from a similar background. Getting a free meal is a tremendous perk, especially
free,
like that
it's for
lasagna.
me.
Dude, that lasagna was it was like this thick, regatta, all of it down the middle. It was amazing, and he made it fresh every day. And so I would go in either at the beginning of the shift, end of the shift, eat the lasagna. I started. It had some issues, right? The first day I went in, I had a table of 8, and forgot their bread, their water, 4 people's utensils. They ended up tipping me so much. It was like a $325 bill, and this is back 2003, 2004. So I mean, that's a big bill, and they ended up tipping me more than I made most weeks at any of the one other jobs. And I started running out after them, I did a bad job. I didn't earn this. And they're I tried, sweetie.
I don't deserve this.
You don't deserve
on your knees in the parking lot.
Do not murder me.
Yeah.
And so as I'm there, I'm getting a reputation for being a well-loved, well-liked server. And I only lasted here 6 weeks. So this wasn't a long time. So by 3
some
weeks
of the best stories are in a very short time.
Short term. And so the first couple of weeks, I didn't really have any interaction with the other owner, right? It was mostly his wife going. They pay cash, at the end of the night, tip out and all that stuff. So my first interaction with them is first real interaction with him is I'm going back into the freezer area, and I walk in the freezer and I hear it go clink, and there's a way of getting out, but as you just saw with that it was a Carl's Jr. or an Arby's where the woman got locked in there and died. So I was freaking out a little bit,
I did not know
he
that.
opens the door. Oh yeah, it just happened. Check the news. She went in there I don't know. Have you ever been a server? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that I figured, but that's the place people go smoke pot, whatever else. And so she went in, Arby's employee, and locked, and it was broken, so she couldn't get out. So probably not a thing to say with a smile, but I'm freaking out a little bit now. And he opens the door, and he kind of lets it open slowly, and he's like, it's not a good idea to do that. And I was like, I understand. I didn't expect it to come flying closed on me. And he's like, yeah, you got to do better. And then he walks away. And so I'm like, okay, this is a weird interaction, but whatever.
Wait, did that have anything to do with the door closing? Did that really have anything to do? It's just him. So what I find out later is I'm going out, he's coming out of the bathroom a lot with
So then
He
it
has
gets
the
down to it,
sniffles.
like I get
He's
moved.
got the 1987 sniffles.
1987 sniffles. He's got the Scarface. So,
Yeah.
and what's crazy too is most people aren't familiar with the Tampa area, but these guys, Palm Harbor is near Clearwater, which more people are familiar with. These people lived in Brooksville, which is an hour and a half north. It's a hike.
Yeah, that's a hike.
To start a small restaurant in Palm Harbor, this guy drives back and forth every day out of his gourd, right? And so they shift me to the closing shift, like every night. I'm on this closing shift now, and so I'm more and more interaction with this guy. And so end of the night, I'm not even 20 at that point. He's offering, at the end of the night, he's always offering me a drink and espresso. We're talking, and I thought we were starting to get along. He started to tell me about his cousins. His cousins were the Gallo brothers. I don't know, like I grew up Italian because I'm kind of Italian, and my family talked about it a lot. And so, organized crime was a part of our lives. And so like, I know the Gallo brothers. Gallo brothers were like an infamously famous group that tried to take over violently a lot of the New York crime areas, particularly Harlem, and actually worked with African-American gangsters in order to do that, which was like against the crime family, right? So they ended up getting just around. But he starts telling me stories about, them shooting people in the face with a bow and arrow. And he's telling me stories about, people disappearing and how he grew up with Joey patting him on the head. And just all this, just crazy stuff, right? And I'm just nodding, shaking my head. My boss at the mattress store was an Italian from New Jersey. He's like, don't worry, he's just trying to intimidate you. Those guys were just idiots. Don't worry about it. He's just
they're trying to be big and bad. They're trying to
he's trying to be big and bad.
Put a persona out there, right?
So I kind of play along, because he's my boss, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to work here. But one of the days he comes out of the back room, and his eyes are just absolutely just bloodshot, and he's like dark circles, and he walks up to me and he goes, I spent a lot of time with you now. Like, it's been nice having the espresso in the night, closing out the night, and all that. He gets a little.
It's only because of scheduling, though. Understand that, right?
You got a Jeffrey Dahmer vibe. And I stood up, and I was like, and his wife sits back, and she's like, honey, what? And he goes, you know what I'm talking about. He's got this dark cloud. And, when he walks in this room, it's dark cloud. When he walks in this room, it's dark cloud. It's like, I'm going to read in the paper about you chewing on people and shit. That's how this is going to go.
Wait, know what?
Yeah.
He started accusing you of being a person who would kill and eat people. And he was being serious?
Dead serious. I thought it was like a bit. I thought he was putting me on a little bit. We grew up rough. So, I figure he's a little toked up, a little bit out of his mind. Like, thinking he's funnier than he is. He was serious, like just straight serious. Like, and I was like, okay, well, I quit, and I'm done. This is not the thing that I signed up for. And she's like, no, just wait. She's like pushing him out the door, like pushing him out the back door, and he's like doing the poking, this guy, don't you know? And there are people in the restaurant still, right? So we're like at last part, and they're all like looking up at this guy, like just losing his mind over this. And I didn't have a bald head before. I was a pretty good looking guy. Now I did play Patrick Bateman for Halloween one year, but that was years later.
Yeah. But you also played Zach Morris from, and you nailed it.
Also kind of a sociopath.
Yeah, I guess you can be.
He's kind of a sociopath.
That's it. Yeah, he is a jerk.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
He's a pretty jerk.
Connection.
So I'm picking.
And let's see, rewind. And from Hulk Hogan's perspective, you were like, just lay in the bed. Just Just lay in the bed. Just lay in the bed.
Take off the fanny
Terry.
pack. Do you
Just
still
take
feel
off the
safe?
fanny pack, Terry.
Terry. I got
Terry.
big holes. Salt. Lie. Body of a goat.
Terry, are you gonna choke slam me? What? No. No. Oh man, dude, that is
So
okay. Keep going.
yeah, so she comes back. He's still in there. She hands me like $600. She's like, I'm so sorry about this. She's so sorry about this. Like, you should probably not work here anymore, but I would like you to finish out the week if you can. I was like, I'm probably not going to do that. She's like, he won't be here. I'll make it out. You know, like your energy is a part of this place. I was like, no, you know. And then the chef came out with my lasagna. So I sat there and I calmly, quietly ate my lasagna, had a good cannoli, and then left and never returned.
You should. Oh man, dude, it would have been great if you like. Listen, I know we have a lot of Chianti. Can I just get some fava beans? And I just need to sit down with some fava beans and Chianti.
That would have been amazing.
Can we just please get
some liver, just a little liver.
A little Silence of the Lambs action there. Dude, what a story. I don't think I've ever been accused of anything like that.
You know, it feels weird to admit that in Gavin's words, you know, at least hundreds, tens, thousands, hopefully if people will, maybe tens of thousands, maybe we'll go viral on your annual anniversary.
Oh, that'd be great.
But
it is the annual anniversary.
Anniversary
Cast.
And you know, it is weird to admit that someone thought you were a serial killer or had the makings of a serial killer on camera.
You know what this reminds me of? There was an old documentary, or like something, not old, either way, and it was about like real life superheroes, and it had like a guy who can somewhere in Sweden, but who can run in like sub-freezing weather in like shorts.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And it all started because like he came home from school one day and it was snowing really bad and no one was home to let him in, and he fell asleep on the front porch for hours and he thought he was dead. Ever since then, like they even dunked him in like sub-freezing water for hours. He was like, they had to take him out because they're like, all right, we're out of time at this research facility. We got to go home. You guys, and it didn't. So another one was a guy who could do any mathematics in his head, anything. He just, it was in his head, and it like this, right? Some guy in Germany, and this American. No, he was Canadian. He was a Canadian psychologist. He said that I want to research him because I think there's something blah blah blah. So he comes over to the States, and they're doing this research, and the psychologist is about to give his what he believes is going on here, and he says that he's he actually used the term like idiot savant, which is like, and he's like excuse me, like the English, like the barrier, like huh?
Yeah.
And he's like well yeah, and then the translator explained it to him, and he says I don't have autism. Like he's like, I don't. That's what you're getting at. You're getting it, and the guy's like, well, sometimes we don't know. There's a spectrum, and this is early on when we're first barely talking about the spectrum. And he's like, I don't think I am. Like he's like wrestling. Like, am I? Like what is? First time he's hearing about it, he's like in his 40s. That's what you are. You're like, am I a cannibal? Do I have the makings?
Do I have?
Oh my goodness.
Can I go?
I like how he's like there's a dark cloud everywhere. There's a dark cloud everywhere. And then the wife comes back in and she's like, your energy is part of this place. Yeah, apparently like a dark cloud.
Apparently
like
a dark cloud. A dark cloud. Oh my gosh, dude. It was something. You do go through that moment when you're like what are they seeing? What are they picking up on? It's the same thing. And topic of the day, jobs, work, right? You get that energy from your leaders, right? They pick up on things, they treat you differently. So when someone's in that position of power, you definitely go through the motions of what the hell? I mean, like I'm obviously not killing people and eating them, or even just killing people, or just eating people. I'm not doing any of these things, nor any combination thereof.
However, that you know of.
Like what are you picking up on that's going through? And there was like, there is that self-doubt and dark passenger that everybody kind of goes through. And it's like, well, what do I've got that's out there externally? And it took me a little while to kind of recover from that thought process. Dude, because
especially being 20 years old, years old, not even 20, and then frontal lobe, that reasoning, it's not formed, it's not developed. And you have an older man, that is like some authority figure. Yeah, and that's what we're younger. We look up to maybe not like up to them, but we look to them for some guidance. They're adults, right? They got to know something. Oh yeah, and he's like, "You're gonna eat people one day."
It's the best soothsaying ever. Best soothsaying ever.
He was so confident that it actually swayed you. You were like, maybe he might know something I don't know.
Maybe I'm gonna end up in a live situation. Alps or the Andes? Which one? It was the Alps, right?
It was Alps.
It was the Andes.
It was the Andes. No, the plane crashing down. Yeah, it was Dude, well, you know what?
And now
there's still time.
Now, I live only 90 minutes away from what do you call it? Donner Lake.
You're right there, man.
So that's just what he saw. He saw the fact that someday I was going to live in Lake Tahoe, just a little bit away from where the Donner Party met their end. And the dark cloud it was the most snow that they've had since 1887. So
I'm telling you, it's prophetic. That's right. Let's not knock it. We still have you're still on your journey. You're still on your journey. You don't know where that journey is going to lead you. It's going to lead you with an A1 and a thigh.
17, 37, 49, 51, 60, and 13 for the Powerball, just so you're aware. Nice. I just don't know when that was.
Yeah. Oh, no, don't worry. Every night. Daddy's playing these numbers tonight. They're hot. They're hot numbers. Callen, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you being on my 1 year extravaganza episode. Nice pinata.
I like that.
Thank you. Love you, bro. Thank you so much.
Love you too, brother.
Man, we're going to have you on again. Got to.
Sounds good. There's one other one that preceded that. So I got another.
We got some more. See you guys.
This one has tours, parties, and inline skating.
And 4 broken femurs.
6.
Love you, Callen. Thanks, man.
See you. Bye, brother.
See ya.
Wow, that sounded dangerous. Or did it? Who knows? Let's go ahead and listen to our next story.
G, thank you. Honestly, dude, thank you so much for being on this episode. Not just being on this episode, but like this is the 1 year extravaganza episode. There's supposed to be confetti and fireworks.
Nice.
Post-production. It'll be great.
It'll be great.
So thank you for being one of my guests to come back on. So let me, I'll introduce you. How about that? So everyone out there in computer land, this is Mario Gallego. This is my very best friend. And he's been my, he's known me since 7th grade and we've been best friends since 9th grade. He knew me at 7th grade and he thought I was mentally challenged. Isn't that correct? Because I would sleep on the bus.
Very accurate. Well, it's not the only reason I thought you were. Not because you slept on the bus.
Is there another reason? Was there?
Your entire persona was really the reason. Had nothing to do with your sleep habits.
I want everyone to know that he is not being cruel or joking. He's being genuine.
Not at all.
And it's true.
And I'd like to point out that I'd like to point out that I didn't make fun of you for that. Not because I actually felt bad for you because I felt that you were legitimately inhibited by these things, and so
I've been touched. I was touched in the head.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Please continue.
No. I want to go on with that because when you During that time, you thought I was challenged. You didn't talk to me. You didn't bother me. I just got this right now, dude. It wasn't until 8th grade when we had class together and you realized that I wasn't. And then you started making fun of me.
Yeah, when I realized that, oh, he's normal. I was like, oh, the free range here.
Like, no, he's not.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's so great. So
I had a heart.
So yeah, yes, you did. Yes, you did. So best friend since 9th grade, and also my guest on my 4th episode, my 4th guest, like 9 months ago. I can do math, and we talked about a job that we both had at the same time, where we worked at an auto salvage yard, a junkyard, and yeah, that was fun. Just to run down, just to bring everyone up to speed from the last episode, which there's a link somewhere maybe up here, and if you're listening to it, it's the link for that episode will be in the description or comment. Either way, so you started working at the junkyard, the auto salvage yard, when you were 12 years old, maybe 11 or 12 years old.
I was 12.
No, 12, and you had facial hair, so they were like, you're of age. And then when I was 13, maybe I just turned 14, you got me a job working at the auto salvage yard. So there are two very young children working at a dangerous, not the safest place, not only because they're, dangerous, what's it called? Like machinery around, but also like around grown adults, like grown men that we were just, even though we were maybe not as innocent or more understanding of the world than maybe a lot of other kids, we definitely were not prepared for some of those conversations, or maybe you were, I wasn't.
Yeah. Not to get into the psychology of it all, but just to kind of qualify the statement you made in terms of us being perhaps more, I don't know, prepared for that than maybe some nowadays kids of the same age. We grew up in a really rough neighborhood, and we grew up under really kind of familial circumstances that aren't typical, day-to-day upbringings for a lot of folks. And so it's just because
that
of
is
those
very kind. That's a very kind way of expressing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what were we talking about? Oh, here at the podcast. So we talked about, growing up there. Here's something else that on that, something like we weren't ready for. And I think that, it bothered you and it bothered me. And I don't know if you still think about it or not. There was a police officer who, and I found this police officer is still out there, doing the same thing he did when he came to our middle school, which was rap, rap about, being safe and don't fight and stuff like that. And we all looked up to him. Yeah, okay. I didn't want to throw his name out there because he's still doing it. Rise is like, oh yeah, I try to get him because she's a guidance counselor. She's like, I try to get him every year, but he's booked out to come and rap at the schools. He's booked out, and awesome. Yeah. So and then I told Rise, and Rise is like, yikes, because Officer White, because we were at the salvage yard one day, and he was there talking with the guys, and I guess he's around the neighborhood. All right. So, and we walked up on a conversation, and it was a very adult conversation, very, grown adult conversation. And I remember we were like, oh, we walked away. And I remember for like a couple of days that bothering you. And I never really thought about it bothering me. But the older I'm getting now, I'm looking back on, any little thing like that starts shaping a kid's mind, and that's not a normal, encounter to have, when you're seeing someone that you're looking up to like that, or like, wow, he's on that pedestal, and then seeing, a reality of it, but so either way, I say all that to say that there's so many things that link me back to this job just in thought throughout the day. I'm like, oh, that little thing, links back. But we talked about all the ridiculousness of us working there, right? Just to name some, we almost, us almost catching the yard on fire, because we found gasoline, and what else are you supposed to do with gasoline when you're young, obviously. We talked about us, or me trying to gentrify the warehouse, in bringing in a toaster and a coffee maker, and it not really going well. I think it went well. I think it spruced the place up. We talked about you leaving me alone with a snake. That we found a snake, and it was under something that you wanted to pick up. You were like, "No, help me with this." Like, I'm out. So we talked about that. That's fun. We talked about you launching rocks at me. That's your favorite. That was your favorite during that episode. You laughed so hard at that. I know that you're proud of that one, but
I am.
I know you are. So we've talked about those stories, and those are all great, and they're ridiculous. If you're listening, please just go watch that video. Those stories, we laugh like crazy. It's ridiculous. But I got a few things that I do want to talk about. Oh yeah, this is something I wanted to mention. I was talking to Mom about our recording for the podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, I talked to him about working together at the junkyard and all the stuff we did. And her immediate response was like, oh my God, what did y'all do? Like, she already knew. She was like, that time period. Like, she was like, what did you guys do? So there's a couple more things I still wanted to hit on about working for the junkyard. Do you remember do you remember having in your mind the coolest thing you ever found in a car? Because that's one thing we didn't talk about is whenever cars were brought to us, that's one of the first things we did was like put our hand in the seat, like rip open the seat, see if we can find any change or anything. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just to kind of give anybody who's listening a little more context, these cars, they come in and they're generally, they're could very well have been just days before them coming into the junkyard. They were privately owned by someone who got in a car accident. And a lot of their things remained in the car that they decided to give up to the junkyard. And so these items ended up just coming along with the car. Oftentimes, most personal items were removed, but there were lots of times where they weren't, to Aaron's point.
Many times the salvage gods shone upon us.
Right. Yeah, for sure. No, so I don't know. I always look forward to try to find the money. For sure, pulling out the back seat. That always reminded, and not just like searching the back seat, like actually unbolting the back seat to remove it and looking underneath the cushion. Could you be surprised how much money there'd be? I mean, you'd walk away $7 to $10 each time. That wouldn't be unheard of. And then when the occasional, you'd find a few bills, that sort of thing. But in terms of items, the only thing that kind of comes to mind, or one of the things that comes to mind, I remember it was a trunk that I didn't open, but there was somebody there who opened it, and they found like an entire like fishing tackle set with a whole bunch of equipment, that kind of stuff. Trying to think of something else that may have been left behind that stood out. Obviously, the typical stuff: speakers, amplifiers,
right,
things, bolt-ons for my own personal vehicle that I could get from the junkyard. So, like, I remember my muffler came from the junkyard because it was one of those chrome exhaust things, and rims and that sort of stuff, and replacement parts for my car because my car was constantly breaking down. So, those types of things are the things that stand out to me.
Dude, that is exactly where I was hoping that you'd go down. Like when you started saying, okay, rip it, but when you started talking about speakers, stereos, and I'm like, yes, that's what it is. Dude, we went through so many stereos and speakers, just anything. It's like, ooh, these are good. They're like stock. Oh, no, these are good. Dude, we would go and like the interior, anything for the cars that we'd need, we would get from the junkyard. Like every part was from right there.
Yeah, not just for us either, for our contacts.
No.
I got contacted all of the time from people that I knew either through church or just, but somebody that my dad knew or family members. I'd always get contacted like, hey, does the junkyard have this? Is there any chance that you could give me a discount or, whatever it may be? So I got contacted all the time for parts in that way too.
Yeah. Me, not as much, because I don't think anyone looked at me and saw that guy knows his way around a car. I was like, I can do it, guys. I can do it. Right. No, one thing that I remember that we did quite often was we would, especially if we were finding ourselves with a time to where we had to what's it called, go to a car and remove a bunch of parts. They would drop down like 4 or 5 cars and they'd have on the windshield which items to remove. So we'd be there for a little while. So we would go make our own stereo systems. Like we would have, we would get like a car. You don't remember that? We would find like a car battery. We would put it up on a table. We'd yank out the speaker of a car that we were like, oh, this speaker, and not a speaker, a stereo. Rip that out, hook up the wires, and then like find some speakers. And that was the coolest thing because they were magnetic, so they would stick to the side of the the rolling tool case or toolbox that we had. But that's something that we did. Do you remember doing that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that was fun. That was exciting.
That was fun. Yeah, that was fun. I think maybe you have a greater appreciation for it than I did. I enjoyed it. I'm glad it was there to me. It seemed more clever than anything. But yeah.
Oh man, that was a time of my life. I was like, man, I get to hook all these wires up. I remember I thought I really knew how to do a stereo system, like run a stereo system. And our friend of mine in high school, Goldie, she had this Geo
Mustang.
Storm. Yeah, Geo Mustang. No, she had a Geo Storm, remember?
Goldie had a Mustang.
It was a Geo. No, but early, her first car was like this Geo Prism. It's a Geo Prism. And I told her, I said, yeah, I can get you a radio from the junkyard. No problem. And I went to, I exchanged it like the next day after I got it, so it was daytime. Sure. Exchanged it. No problem. I mean, cut all the wires, took that pesky wiring harnesses to the manufacturer and just cut it off, And I was like, okay, red wire, that's power. Duh. Okay, these must be speakers. And I left like half the cables not connected, but the radio worked. But like the next morning, because she would come pick me up for school, she was like, you call me, I don't know, none of my lights are working. None
of my lights are working.
None of my lights are working. So we had to go back to the junkyard, and I had to thankfully find one and snip the wiring harness. But the wiring harness on Goldie's car, for some reason, I snipped it really far back. So I had to wire. It's so uncomfortable. I had to wire each wire from that wiring harness back together. And of course, me being that age, I was like, stupid car manufacturer. Why would you wire the lights through the radio? Makes no sense. Like, I know. Yeah, that was fun. So we did the stereo, finding some cool things. Here's something that I wanted to touch on. And I've got this last point. I got a quick trivia to see if you remember. And then we'll go ahead and I will say thank you. I bid you adieu. I'll go put a hat on. It might take a couple hours. I'll find it. So we would, and it's so funny because it kind of links together. So we would work out in that junkyard, right? We would work and we would play. We would play a lot, and then we would be like, "Oh, okay, well, let's work like insane," and we'd get everything done, and then we'd play around. But when we'd be coming back in for a break, do you remember?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I can't believe we didn't talk about this on the last episode. Okay, so tell me if you can remember what were the directions that you would have given me. I kind of remember when walking back up.
Yeah, no, I remember. So mind you, we're 12, and it's interesting.
We had no business having this being here at all, right?
Doing any of the manual labor, the physically and the dangerous stuff.
This is no reflection on the men who we are today.
around hazardous chemicals, around grown-ups, adults. We're completely unsupervised by anyone, frankly, whatsoever, and left to our own accord to do whatever we want, and given a task to go do something that was physically intensive. Now, when Aaron and I would complete these tasks, I wanted to make sure,
dude, all of that you had. Seriously, we had to preface that. I feel good that you prefaced it like that. Absolutely. Yeah, you have to.
And you got to consider that. So I'm thinking, okay, knowing Aaron, he's gonna go into this like office and be, hey guys, just really, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do with this kid? So yeah, exactly. The little shimmy shuffle. So I'm thinking, okay, Aaron, listen, when we go in there, you got to walk in like you're exhausted, like you're tired, and you just need a break, and your feet hurt, and and like you've just been working all day long, and all that, because I don't want them thinking that you haven't been doing anything, because that's just in my mind that was the way to survive. That was the way to make sure
100%.
to justify keeping that job, because I wanted to make sure that you still had a job, because if they're thinking like, holy crap, the rationale in my mind was thinking, oh, holy crap, they're both coming in exhausted. Clearly, this is a job for two people, so we got to keep them both. And so that was
right. No,
that
absolutely.
was my, so but yeah, those were the directions. Where Aaron, come in looking tired.
Yeah, come in looking tired, and not just that. I remember us walking in, and you're saying, "Hold on, put some dirt on your clothes."
Did I really? I don't remember that. That's funny. I believe you.
You did it. You did it too. We're like, okay, all right. And but I remember you're like, Aaron, you can't. You gotta actually show them that you've been working.
Clean up.
Anybody watch anything lately?
Clean up the break room. Mind you, this was all around the same time where you were bringing in a toaster and the coffee maker and fixing up the picnic table, So it was my my 12-year-old mind's way of trying to insulate you in some sort of way.
And I feel that I insulated you as well, because if I didn't act that way, it would be a poor reflection on you. So you're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you playing the game. Ultimately, I got to keep the job.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's the premise of this show, right? 38 at 38.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? Look, I have no problem to say they let me go from that job. They should have. I wasn't performing well because I was 14 years old. Yeah. They should have did that 2 years earlier. They should have taken care of that 2 years.
They shouldn't have started. They shouldn't have hired me in the first place. They shouldn't have hired you. And nothing was ever verified. You know what I mean? I don't mean based off of your own merit. When you had your chance to demonstrate, it didn't work out.
You're talking about my character, the character of who I was at 14.
Right. Yeah. No,
he's untrustworthy. That 14-year-old kid. Don't hire him.
Don't hire him. He doesn't have his own car. Dude, I didn't have my own car at the time. Not that I would, but for what it's worth, I think I got my first car when I was 14. So still, like, I wasn't eligible to drive, but I found a way, and like I got my own car, so it's just, I don't know how it had to have been that these things, well, anyways, that's a topic for a different day, I guess, in terms of their
episode number 15.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So,
okay.
anyhow.
So let's do some trivia, just 3 trivia questions. I wrote them down. I'm gonna throw a softball at you. What pizza brand what pizza company did they go with every Saturday?
That's the soft one.
Maybe it affected me more than it affected you.
The food, pizza brand. Dude, I don't remember.
Pizza Hut. All right.
Okay.
Next.
I guess I could have just guessed. I'm thinking you're going to say like Sbarro's or something, just kind of, or Jet.
I said wrong. We had burgers.
Yeah.
Jerk. I remember that because I hate Pizza Hut. That's right. This is a hot take right here. I do not like Pizza Hut at all. So
I thought you were going to say the other place, the place that they always got the Cuban. No. The Cuban place. I was going to say the food place, but it's
Bricados.
I thought you were going to say Bricados because they definitely went to Bricados every Saturday morning. But I didn't remember pizza for lunch.
Bricados, so good.
Bricados,
okay,
good stuff.
Maybe this is an easy one. This is a softball. This is an easy one.
Okay.
what snacks did you and I always get from the vending machine right when we came in? Here's where it links back around, from the money that we found in, like, we got so excited because we would count up money until we were able to get the snacks. We're like, yeah, we can get it this. Yes, we can get it that from the coins. So what were the snacks?
Is it a Snickers? No. Dude, I don't even remember a vending machine.
Dude, I have memoirs and I have a whole chapter just dedicated to this.
I take that back. I vaguely remember the vending machine being like near between the two restrooms. Was that where it was at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right when we walked in to the warehouse.
I feel like it would have been chips and a soda, but I'm not sure.
Okay. If it was a soda, which soda would it be?
Dr. Pepper.
All right, good. Ding, 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 ding. Dr. Pepper. And if it was a chocolate candy of some sort, what would it be?
Oh, well, for you, it would have been Snickers, and for me, it more than likely would have been Twix.
That's it. Twix and Dr. Pepper. You don't remember getting that every time?
No.
Dude, sometimes it's how much of a punk you were. Sometimes you would eat one Twix, and then you would grab the Twix with your dirty hand and be like, here you go. I'd be like, dude. And you're like, my bad, just break it off so you can have another bite.
Oh, that's great. I wish I remembered that. Oh, my memory's awful.
And this one is not, I don't.
Give me the easiest of all. How about that?
Well, this one you won't remember, but I just want to.
Okay.
All right. So I gave a speech during a company meeting at the junkyard.
Okay.
Do you remember what? Do you remember what the occasion was?
So I worked there from 12 to almost 19 years old, and I don't remember ever having a company meeting, let alone ever speaking at one. Well, you probably would have brought up that the facilities aren't up to speed, or the break room should be spruced up in some sort of way. What did you try to form a union? What did you do?
Guys, there's a suggestion box. So it was for Thanksgiving, and Tim, the owner, he had bought everyone, or like most people, like in the office or whatever, he bought them turkeys, or if like they had a family, I think it was they brought them turkeys, and then everyone else everyone else got like a ham, and it wasn't like a meeting, but this is a 14-year-old kid thinking this is what adults do, right? And I also like to talk, so like that was part of it, but this is what I've seen this in shows where during a time where the boss is handing out some kind of something, somebody says something, so that all happens, they hand it out, and I'm like, hey guys, dude, you walked straight away from me after the meeting. You're like, this guy. I was like, guys,
he's gonna get fired. He's gonna have 38 jobs by the time he's 38.
I said, hey, Tim, thank you so much, guys. I greatly appreciate it. I just feel like it's one of those we're all family kind of talks that we're all family. I felt, and I thank you so much.
Dude, these group of guys that could be any different from us in every way possible. First of all, they were adults.
Everywhere.
So let's start there.
Yeah,
and the list goes on and on. Wow, that's funny.
Well, oh man, I'm glad that I'm glad that you don't remember all those things that were embarrassing, and I hope you forget them. Now that's going to be the number one thing in your head.
Awesome. It's memorialized here forever. We got it on.
Nice. Oh, interwebs. Thank you so much, G. I greatly appreciate it. Love you, brother. Thank you for being one of my guests here on my 1-year anniversary. I did it. They said it would never be done. They said you could never do a podcast for 1 year straight. They all said it. Not me.
They all did. Yep.
They all said that. No, it's
said it.
You hired a plane to ride it above my house.
I was the main one who said
it. Much.
I started it.
You started
was saying it until I said it.
You convinced others.
I convinced everyone. A lot of people who believed you could do it, I told them there's no way, and here's the reasons why.
My greatest cheerleaders you took.
Right.
How are my old friends now, by the way? I love you, bro. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I love you too, bro.
friends with me.
Friends with- oh, man.
Awesome.
I love
Thanks,
you too,
man.
brother. Yeah, thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Well, I thought we heard some ridiculous stories before, but that one takes the cake and the pie. Delicious. All right, let's hear another story.
How you doing, Rhett?
Good, man. You?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much. I think we should just get right into it, because you said you had a story for me. So let me just go ahead and intro it. Hey, everyone out there in movie land. This is your main guy, Aaron, and we're going to be going over today's movie of the week, which is Disney's new live-action Little Mermaid. I don't know about you, Rhett, but I give it 2 fins up.
Oh my goodness.
What's going on, Rhett? What's going on, baby?
Nothing much, man. You?
Not much, man. Have you seen the new live-action Disney?
No, I have not.
I did. I just came back from it.
Is that?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty good. It's actually, I give it 2 fins up.
Is that why you? Is that why you busted in a song today in our phone conversation? It was fresh in your mind.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
That's good.
Absolutely. All right, let me intro you properly. Thank you so much, Rhett, for being on our 1-year anniversary special. Now, I told Phil, nothing fancy, no graffiti, no explosions or fireworks. Oh, look at them right there, Rhett. You got them on your screen too. They're all over the place. Oh, Phil, our 1-year anniversary. We've got 3 guests this episode. I don't know if you're guest number 1, 2, or 3. So we'll just say, Rhett, I'm so happy to have you guest number
3.
And then it'll go right in. It'll be fine. But right after we had our last talk, right after the last time you were on our on the podcast here, you called me up and you said, "Man, I got another story to tell. I forgot this story." Right? So I want to hear it, Rhett. You've got so many stories, and I love we got into so many stories last time. We got into Jay Leno, jaywalking All-Stars that you were on. We got on to you probably for one day, could have been murdered, but you stuck it out.
I was a hostage victim.
Yeah, I told Riza, my wife, people. I told Riza about it, and she was like, "Why didn't he leave?" I'm like, "I don't think he knew he could."
I wasn't driving.
Right. So if you guys, it's a hilarious episode. Look it up. Last episode with Rhett Mullins and how he almost sold, maybe stolen stereos. It's a fun time. But what is this story? What is this job story that I need to know?
Was it Dial America? That was a rough one for 6 hours.
Nope, I have no idea. But let's talk about Dial America.
Yeah. So Dial America was one night. I worked there for one night. Did you ever do Dial America? Did you ever do that?
What I think is funny is that this is now the second job that you're telling us about, and both jobs have been like one time.
Yeah, man. I was like, I'm out of here.
So Dial America, is that? No. Was it a call center?
Call
Obviously,
center,
right?
Magazines.
There was a call center like in the area that I know a lot of kids in high school. We grew up around the same area, but I know a lot of kids in high school had like Finger Hut, yeah, like after school jobs. I'm like, so you go to your job after school is going to a cubicle and making phone calls? Yeah. That sounded horrible when I was a kid. So how did you get wrapped up in this?
I was just looking for work once again. I think I was living in Louisville at the time. And once again, you answer the ad, do like a circular or magazine or something. There's no referral. There was no LinkedIn back then. MySpace wasn't helping you get jobs. They probably led you in with, sales. You're like, oh, I can do sales.
Right.
Yeah, I think anybody thinks they can do sales, especially at that age. But yeah, and I got there, and this is very dark room, and just lines of people. You ever see that guy that busts people, like scamming people in India? There's just lines of people sitting right next to each other. That's kind of what it was. And it was arguing.
Really?
It was essentially just arguing with people and trying to strong arm them into getting not only 1 or 2 subscriptions of Time magazine, but maybe 3. And yeah, that was it. It's like, no, you don't just
3 subscriptions for who? For like yourself and like a neighbor and a friend?
Correct. Yeah, it was
really.
Yeah. And so I realized, they fast tracked you to training. It was like 1 hour of training, and it was basically, how to put the headset on.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
And then you have like, and there's like a 10-minute in the hour. There's somewhere is like a 10-minute potty break. 10-minute pee break, so it's not even a full hour.
Pretty much. It was one of those things where you go the first night and they want to see if if you got the guts, I guess, to hang, and
if you got the goods,
sit next to somebody. And I think after listening to their first phone call, my face was probably like this. And then he's like, "You're up," and of course it's on an auto dialer, right? Yeah, some grumpy person in New York answers, "Hello,"
so like you had like an orientation and a training and everything right then.
Correct.
You had a script and a script in front of you.
Correct. Yeah, correct. And you're reading, you're fumbling over it, so the person knows. I mean, most of the people, they just hang up immediately.
Right.
They're like, I'm not interested. I don't want to hear anything about it. So I think you were more shocked if somebody actually engaged you in conversation. Just the one person out of 100 that was like, yeah, I'll talk to you.
You've got the first 2 sentences of your script down pat. You can say it in your sleep, nothing, but it never gets past the second sentence. No, so when you do, it's like, you know what? You sound confident, young man. What do you got?
That's why now when you get it, it's like, hi, this is Jessica. It's very robotic. They want you to engage first, and then the person will come on the line. But yeah, I definitely fumbled through it, and I realized that I wouldn't buy a magazine, much less am I going to be able to sell it to somebody who I've never met before in my life, and I have like 10 seconds of their attention. So I think on that one, I actually, it may have been 4 hours. I think I quit on my lunch break. I think is what it was. It's like, hey man, go to lunch break, and I just didn't come back.
How old were you?
Man, I was
38.
It's like last week. This was last week. It's not far. It's not far off. I was probably 26, maybe 25. I don't know, something like that. The best part is I think I remember dressing up for it too. I think I remember having a tie, like the person could,
I'm sure you did.
Phone. I wanted to look professional, be as professional as I possibly could.
I had a buddy from high school when I was 18 years old, and he got a job at one of those telemarketers, and he had to work. I don't know if it was the day of or the day after 9/11, and he had to call into New York, and he was tough, like, people were screaming, cursing. No, people were picking up, cursing him out. People were picking up. He said some people picked up already in tears. Mm-hmm. And he was like, and I was like, what'd you have to do? He's like, my boss would get mad at me if I didn't read the script. Wow. So he's like, oh man, dude, that's a rough life to live.
That's tough. We're sitting here talking about it. I'm thinking about it. I think I know what that one was that I called you about and told you. I think it was when I was working for Rob for Stone and Tile. And, nobody knows this, done this, who's listening to this. Well, maybe a couple people do, but we did like marble restoration, stonework, but
honing the polish.
Yeah, we were part of a company that did like tub restorations, and basically it's very expensive to replace a hotel tub, because of all the components you have to do. So work with these people that they would just kind of clean it, but they had this miracle method. And
why the accent? Why the accent?
Yeah, it's because that's what they talk like. That's how they sell it. It was a good process, except for you had people that actually did painted tubs, and so these companies would come in and they would like put this crazy paint on it, this primer and whatnot, and so that doesn't last super long. The chemicals you usually clean it with, so then it starts to chip. So these guys would come in and they would strip that. New Jersey. Princeton, New Jersey. I'll never forget it. It may have been 195 degrees that summer, and it's a hotel. It was like a Westin or something, and the air is completely off. There's no air, and you're using airplane stripper, okay, like airplane paint stripper, and you're hunched over a tub, and you have these
Wait,
gloves.
why is it specifically because of the enamel they would put on the tub,
Correct,
like the
because
type of
the
paint they would
paint
put?
is so thick and the primer is so intense. So you pour this stuff on there, and you immediately see like just it's bubbling up, like this acid's working, and you're like, that that is no joke. There was guys that did that with no gloves. I don't know how, but you had like this respirator because you're over top of it, so this chemical is like baking in your brain. It's 900 degrees. You got these gloves on like this, and you've got these blades, and you're sitting there and you're scraping it off. And I remember at that point, which by the way, one of the guys with me, Chris, I don't know if you remember, we talked about him before, but I think he bought a bus ticket and went back home to Louisville because he's like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. But I remember thinking at that point, like, this blade, I could do. Could just slit my wrist with this blade. This is horrible. I mean, it was so bad. I think
I could do one of two things with this blade.
Yeah, I could strip this paint, or I could cut,
or I can end it all.
Yeah,
I can just end it all.
It was so bad. It was so bad. That was probably the worst. And it was. The thing was, it wasn't something our company did all the time, but I think we were slow with work. And so they were taking other types of projects with partner companies. And so, you're a hard worker and you appreciate your opportunities. And so I did it and I stuck it out. I lost a lot of brain cells. Man. It's probably the hardest and worst thing I've ever done.
That sounds horrible. I went with
horrible.
you. We worked together on some
hotel
marble resurfacing. Yeah, some hotel rooms, and I did some of the. I didn't do any of the resurfacing. I did some of the cleaning and that miracle process. I still try to as best as I can in my bathtub at home. I try to come up with the chemical combination.
It's barkeeper's helper and a magic eraser. There's the miracle method. And these cats charge like $200 a tub. Sorry, guys, if you're listening to this, I just gave your secret out. But
it's amazing.
And then they just put some non-slip in the bottom of it, and they charge $200. Those guys will do easily 20 tubs a day. Do that math, and they'll have like 4 or 5 of them, and they will just blow through it. But to replace a tub in a hotel, man, that's like $3-4 grand, maybe $5 grand by the time you're done, and the fact that the room is out. So. It's worth it to pay some. It's worth it to pay some idiot kid who just doesn't care about losing brain cells to go there and just pour airplane paint stripper. Which, my God, that's all I can say to that.
Well, dude, so a close connection here. When you said, some of these guys would just go in there with no. So two weeks ago, I run into Luke Ferrata at church, and I'm like, "Oh, what's going on, man? You're tired?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm tired." Dude, he knows what's up because his dad runs that, or he does that, right, with the same company that you were doing it, right?
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, no, it's a little down, or a little backed up or something, because the chemical compound that would, or whatever he would use before, I guess is a stripper or something. He's like, they don't make that anymore. They make it's a change model, and that version is not as good. So I contacted the manufacturer, and it's like the guy, and he's like, I want that. He's like, well, what are you using it for? And he explained it to him, and he was like, what? he's like, yeah. He said, the guy was like, what? He goes, and what are you using? He goes, no, I just go in there and explain his method. And the guy's like, you don't wear gloves or a respirator? And he was like, no. And I was like, bro, you don't wear gloves? He's like, nah, I've been doing this long enough.
Yeah, dude.
He is not that much younger than us, man. He's like 5-6 years younger than us.
And I get it. I get it, because you're moving fast and you're sweating so much. The gloves are drenched. Your face just in the mask and the respirator. It is a micro dirty job. If I've ever, I mean, micro would be like I'm out. I'm not even interested in this. This is
Right.
ridiculous. You know,
How long do you think Luke's been doing that?
uh,
Because we've known him for
a long time. Yeah, a long
a
time.
baby, right? He's
Yeah.
been doing
He's
that.
down to like 3 brain
Golly.
cells.
Yeah, he's well. His answer, it kind of seems like it because he says if it was going to catch up to me, it would have catch up to me by now.
Just his hands are calloused, just with like acid. It's acid.
Dude, he
I mean,
gave
it
me
is complete acid.
yeah. He gave me a high five. He broke my thumb. He was just,
It's horrible, dude. It's the worst. They're honestly the worst. Yeah.
so
What am I doing with my
I'm-
life? I remember saying that many
What-
times. What am I doing with my life right now? What am I doing?
But you got to fly around, right? You got to fly around to different places, exotic
To
locations.
Princeton, New Jersey. Since then, I just hate Princeton, New Jersey. There could be a lot of amazing people. Maybe somebody's listening to this tonight. A lot of really nice people. But Princeton, New Jersey sucks because of that summer and those tubs at the Westin in the 900 degrees. And the airplane stripper, the acid.
Dude, I remember we went to some cool places. We went to
DC.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah. Raising Cane's.
Baton Rouge sucked.
Mama needs this. The best was you in the mall. You can see the mall.
Did you see the mall? Did I just told that story to someone last week.
Where's the mall?
I'll tell the story. So we're up in Virginia, Arlington, and we're restoring we're restoring a same thing, tub, and we have some tubs we got to do. We have some what's it called? This inadvertently even goes into talking about one of my previous jobs. Yeah, doing restoration with you, but the tubs was one of the things. Either way, I was like, man, I'm like, I wasn't part of the group. I was just like, hey, anytime you needed some extra help or I needed some extra money, I'd hop on in. Yeah. And I was like, man, you guys aren't gonna go out and check out DC. And both of you're like, no, we're staying here. No. I said, well, I'm gonna go check out the sites. So it's already like
it was 12 degrees outside.
It was so cold. And I didn't Google anything. This is so long ago. It's not like you had cell phones with Google, cell phones with your Google on it. And
MapQuest.
So it's freaking MapQuest. So I'm like, okay, how do I get to the place where all the Capitol building and the White House, how do I get there? I asked someone, they're like, all right, get on the train. So I get on the train and then they kept saying, yeah, you got to get off at the mall. Got it. And I was like, cool. So the whole train ride, it's cold. I'm hungry. I'm like, you know what? I can't wait to get to the mall. I can really go for some like Sbarros or some kind of, or a Panda Express. I'm hungry. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get a coffee. I'm sure they got a Starbucks there. So I get off at the stop and there's an escalator to go up. And I'm like, man, the mall is windy because I have nothing but, and the guy's like, yeah, that escalator takes you right up to the mall. All right. The mall's freezing. They need to put the heater on the mall. Just flowing down air. And I get up and I look out and it's just a street. And it's just I see the Capitol building. Grass. Yeah, grass, this field. I see a Capitol building and I see the George Washington Memorial and I see the Smithsonian. I'm like, it's there. And I'm like, where the heck is this mall? Where's this mall at? And I'm looking around. I'm circling. I'm not even looking at I'm walking up and down the whole length, not even caring about the sites. I'm like, they're not going to go anywhere. I just want a Starbucks. And I finally asked some guy who's walking cold. And I'm like, hey, buddy, hey, can you tell me where the mall is? And he looked around and he goes, hey, buddy, you're in the mall. I was like, I didn't know that grassy area was called a mall. Yeah. And you know what? They could really use a Jamba Juice in there. They could really use something.
Pretzel time.
I'm gonna get some Annie's up in there. Yeah. All the walking, I could have had a Foot Locker. I could have visited. That was fun time. So yeah, we got to talk about another little job here, Rhett. I don't want to keep you, and I thank you for your time for our 1 year anniversary extravaganza.
I did.
No, all right. Wait, the budget on Phil, let's just cut it. The budget is just too much. Maybe one sparkler. I don't know if it's there. Hey, what if he doesn't put the sparkler there? Awesome. Rhett, I love you, brother. We'll talk soon this week, I'm sure.
All right, dude.
All right, love you, man.
See you, man. Love you.
Pieces. See ya. Love you, bro.
All right, well, that was it. That was our 1 year anniversary extravaganza special episode just for you. And I thank you so much for watching. There's a few other people out there I need to thank. I want to thank, obviously, our guest, Mario, Rhett, Callen. You guys were amazing. Thank you so much for sharing the stories. Again, I want to thank definitely Producer Phil. Producer Phil, you're absolutely amazing. Greatly appreciate this past year working with you. And obviously, the MSP Media Network, MMN. Thank you so much for being the host of this wonderful podcast. I look forward to the next year. I look forward to seeing you guys and hearing some more ridiculous stories. See you.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.